true then, true now. Over 1,000 years ago, the old Sheik Elderim of Medina said to certain Romans, "Do you dream that because the Prophet of Allah dwells now beyond the bridge of Al-Sirat, that therefore he is deaf and dumb and blind? I tell you by the splendor of God that a tempest is brooding in his brow, that there is lightning gathering in his soul for you. Do men dream that because the sovereign oppressed people have thus suffered, thus endured, that therefore they have become dumb and deaf and blind?" But we are told that these forms of oppression are not prohibited by law. There are no people on earth who have greater reverence for law than the farmers of these United States. But they know that no tyranny is so degrading as legalized tyranny, that no injustice is so oppressive as man which stands entrenched behind the forms of law. And worthy descendants as they are of a grand old revolutionary ancestry, they may not forget that the tyrannical mandates of George III were accompanied by the boastful declaration of the British throne under the forms of law. This was an extract from President Polk's speech before the Senate Committee on Agriculture in 1890. This is what they was speaking about. Old Sheik story, speaking about tyranny, ancient ancestry. Greetings, love and peace. Today's demonstration is going to be dedicated to the Sheiks. We're going to jump into the Akashic Records time machine and go back and go over some stories about some Sheiks. The last demonstration we was speaking about Razek, who was a professor at the university in Egypt, Cairo. As well, he was a judge in Islamic jurisprudence. And here where I found it went further and said that he was the trial of Sheik Ali Abdel Razek for heresy, because he was saying that Islam has been corrupted. He was born 1888, being a professor just like Noble Drew Ali. This man could have possibly been in the same learning halls as Noble Drew Ali, being a professor. This man was a professor and in Islam and in Cairo, Egypt. And he was Sheik Ali Abdel Razek. He really stands out for one because he knows man knows not by being told. He wasn't going to go with the flow. Just like Noble Drew Ali stepped from the crowd and said, "No, that's not right." That's what this man did. And they tried to charge him with heresy because he was letting it be known that there was opposition to Abu Bakr as far as Ali being before, during, and after Muhammad. But Abu Bakr took over and killed off all the 7 Ali sons and all of that. But that's what he was exposing. He was not charged with the crime. He was not found to be guilty of a crime with this, but they still messed up all of his social career and everything. Now Islam has its Dayton trial. Christianity is not alone in its internal division between fundamentalist and modernist. Every one of the great ethnic faiths responding to spirit of the times is experiencing essentially the same struggle, and that's true indeed. Everything's all mixed up. Within Mohammedanism, this break has come into the open with the trial of Sheik Ali Abdel Razek for heresy. In the great Muslim University of Al-Azhar in Cairo, the Sheik has been cited to appear before the Superior Council to answer for statements in a book he has recently published, Islam and the Principles of Government. Now remember, in the last demonstration he was speaking about how the Quran, the Eastern Quran, is not good for statesmen. As far as the government, like Noble Drew Ali had the divine and national pillars. He was saying that in that Islam of the East, they speak not of nationality. Muhammad didn't teach nobody about their nationality because that national pillar was not there. And that's what Noble Drew Ali brought, the divine and national movement. He brought both pillars. The university represents the most orthodox, I repeat, orthodox element in Egyptian Islam. Its council has stood for years as the highest theological authority in that faith. The charge against Razek is really that of undermining the old view of the Mohammedan scripture, but that's not what it was, because he directly brought up the confusion about after Muhammad passed, Abu Bakr taking over. They don't want to speak about the true ancient about Ali's sons getting killed off by these pale Arabs because he said it's been corrupted. The Sheikh holds that the Quran is not to be accepted as a guide in all matters pertaining to the state, but it's merely a code for personal conduct. With this, he has coupled strictures on the Muslim practice of polygamy and the status of women within the faith, because they treat women very bad within that. And in the beginning, we know it was a matriarch. In the testimony and sermon of Zainab Ali in Aziz court, She directly says, you say all your women have to be covered up, but you drag all the Ali mothers through the streets butt naked and let everybody look at us, which shows you're a contradicting bastard. But the main trouble has arisen over his views on the authority of the sacred book. There again, who was the preparer of Muhammad's Quran? Ali. He said on his deathbed, Ali, take the papers and prepare them. More than 100 of the progressive leaders of Egypt are reported to have petitioned King Fahd to quash the whole proceedings. Evidently, the king has not felt it wise to interfere. The trial goes on, so does the ferment within Muslim circles, especially within student circles. Islamic fundamentalism is as doomed as any other brand, the Christian century. And the Christians is what's speaking about all this. Nonetheless, he was Sheik Ali. He knew about the Alis before, during, after Muhammad. He knew about the preparation of the Alis all the way from the time, all the way up to Noble Drew Ali, getting the final preparation prepared for humanity. I want to speak about this too before I forget about it. He spoke directly about how we have the Moorish Messiah, the intimation of Muhammad about a Moorish Messiah, the short reading that I have on the Mexim Almanac. The further detailed reading, if you find it, it states that Muhammad said he'd be from the Quraysh, and that was another standing that this Sheik Ali had in regards to the Quraysh. What about the Moorish Messiah that's going to come from the Quraysh, which was Noble Drew Ali? He's like, what about this intimation? Because he speaks directly about where's the Quraysh, and that's the Moorish Messiah to come. Now again, his timeline parallels Noble Drew Ali. He was a professor up until 1925 at this University for Islam in Egypt. Noble Drew Ali was a Professor Drew. He was also an Egyptian adept student, so he very well could have been in the same learning halls as Noble Drew Ali. Let's move on to the next sheik that I found. Sheik of the Tuaregs. The accompanying picture of the photograph of Mohammed bin el-Hajj Mohammed, or rather of as much of him as the unanointed are permitted to gaze upon. It was very difficult to find one of these sheiks of Tuaregs in regards to the images all being tagged up. This gentleman is the Sheik of the Tuaregs, and it will be a source of surprise to many to learn that the territory of his people extends over the tract of country as large as all Europe, with only Russia left out. Roughly speaking, it stretches from Egypt to the Atlantic and from Algeria to the Huzars. But it is practically unknown, and the encyclopedia tells nothing whatever about it. This is because the Tuaregs impolitely declined to allow anyone to enter their big domain, and even the few trading caravans traversing its lonely deserts are heavily armed and always forced to pay tribute. That sounds like the Moors. The Tuareg is far too much of gentleman to work, so he spends his time on the warpath or in holding up stray travelers. In contradistinction to his wild and outlandish appearance and his intellect and his little habits of life, he has the softest and most melodious of voices. With a passionate fondness for music, he always dwells in a small red leather tent pitched wherever his own sweet will may ordain, and carries all his earthly possessions in a small sack of red leather slung over his saddle. Tech High student hears Sheik from far off Chaldea. Sheik Raphael Emmanuel, a native of Chaldea, was a speaker at the Girls Trade and Technical High School 18th and Wells Street yesterday afternoon. The people are uneducated, said the sheik. Ain't that what the Moors let you know in these days? Now this one was around 1925 to 1927. So I know Noble Drew Ali had to hear about this, but in another clipping I seen it said Rael, Rael Emmanuel. The people are uneducated, said the sheik in speaking of his native land. They seldom travel, so they haven't learned much of the customs of other countries. Arithmetic is not taught at all in our schools. Counting is done with amber beads. My people eat potatoes, beef, onions, eggs, plants, apples, figs, prunes, dates, and walnuts. Our method of cooking is much like yours, camping methods. And our dress, which would appear to be strange to you, at first consists of a suit, which like your pajamas covered by a flowing robe. The sheik has spoken at several schools in the city explaining the customs of his country. He is here to study our customs.